Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Press Box. Brian Carson here with my co-host Kenny Varner. How you doing, Kenny V?
I am doing pretty good, Brian. Episode 89, gotta love it.
Yes, and I'm doing well. And tonight we are going to give tennis some love.
Nice, awesome.
And we have Miss Edna Snook. She is the head of MiffCo Tennis Community, the founder. And we have Logan Aurand, who is the head coach of the Juniata Indians high school team. And we sent out an invite to Jeff Mazurek of Mifflin County, head coach of the Mifflin County tennis team. We'll see if he comes on. He is not here right now. But Eddie, Logan, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. It's good to be here.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
Love for tennis. A lot of people don't know this. Kenny, you might not even know this. I am a tennis fan. Big time.
All right.
Awesome.
I
like this guy.
I actually played tennis. When Bald Eagle area had a team back in the decades, back in the early 80s. And we were so good that they dropped the sport after my senior year. They dropped the sport. Yeah, I wanted to do something in the off season. I wrestled and played football, and I was no good in baseball, terrible, and didn't like track. So tennis was it. I grew up watching. I'm gonna make Logan feel old. I mean, young. Really young. I grew up watching Jimmy Connors, Ely Nastasi, Borg, McEnroe.
Oh, do I hear any female names in there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Billie Jean King, Chrissy Everett.
Okay, that's better.
Yvonne Goolagong.
Yeah, Logan knows all of them.
Yeah,
I do know most of them, to be honest. Big Jimmy Connors guy.
So I've always been a fan. I used to watch like HBO when they first started. Used to have Wimbledon, if you remember, Eddie, the all 2 weeks of Wimbledon.
Uh-huh.
And it was just great. I would never miss it. Never miss it.
Uh-huh.
So let's kick it off with a really broad question. But you guys are coming from what you do, and I'll get both your reactions. Can answer this if you can. Why has tennis not taken off in Mifflin County and Juniata County? I mean, there's kids come out, but it doesn't get love from the school district, from the athletic departments. Why do you think that is?
Logan, I'm going to let you go first.
All right. So I can speak specifically for Juniata area. I think there's two reasons why it hasn't really kicked off in our area. One is I think just a lot of people that are in charge when we get to like the policy making side of things or the financial decision making side of things is none of them are really tennis players or know much about tennis. So it's hard to be perfectly unbiased in your treatment of all sports in an area. And obviously, if you don't know as much about a sport, you're not going to be able to cater to their needs as much as you are maybe the sports you know more about or the people you're working alongside know more about. So over the course of the years, we've seen this program not really get much love at all. Our courts are, I understand that we don't have the funds to just pull out $1 million complex for every sport, but our courts are, to put it politely, very not good. And if you're a kid, if you're a kid coming up, right, and you're unbiasedly looking at what sports to play, you got all these prestigious programs socially around here that people love. Football's filling the stands, basketball's got a beautiful court, fantastic coaches, you name it. Softball programs had some great success. And then you got tennis that's got like 10 people in some rinky-dink courts. Subconsciously that's not going to cater to be as popular of a sport amongst the kids. And that kind of thing is just contagious over the course of years and years. And then that you get what we got today, where, culturally basketball, football, or wrestling are a lot more popular in this area, and tennis has kind of just slowly continued to go down the wayside.
Eddie, your thoughts?
My thoughts. My thoughts are that Mifflin County is a pretty depressed area, and tennis has always been a higher socioeconomic kind of bent to it. I personally came from the Juniata Terrace. I grew up there on the hill, and there was not the exposure. There wasn't the opportunities to do anything. I know when I was in high school, when the girls went out on the hockey field with those sticks and their dangerous pucks, I convinced my phys ed teacher that I should be able to go over and play tennis. And she said, well, yeah, go ahead, but I won't have any instruction. I'll be over here with the girls on the hockey field. So that's when I began my journey, really, was high school. I played a little in college. They had a Title IX team that I went out for. Unfortunately, I couldn't play. That wasn't until my junior year that they had that team. And it was anybody who went out made the team. I was athletic enough I could get the balls and things, but I'd never had any instruction. So I didn't even have a backhand. And I was like fifth player on the team. So, you didn't go to Clarion if you were an excellent tennis player. And like I said, it was a Title IX team at the time. And I did play basketball at Clarion for 3 years too. So, yeah, it's just not an area that's conducive or receptive to tennis. It's known as a sport that's more for the economically, it's a country club sport, basically. So we're hoping to change that. It's coming a long way, but the opportunities haven't been there for the kids as far as that goes.
Yeah, and I mean that can change because they used to look the same way at lacrosse and golf,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and now it's like mass appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's people are confused by the rules of tennis? I don't think the rules are that complicated, but some people with the scoring, they might wait, what's this 15 love? What 30, 40? Do you think the rules have anything to do with it?
I think partially, even with the kids programs, we don't start them out keeping score like that. We keep them single digit, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, up to 7 points. So at some point it is a little confusing because it's so different. But once you've played it, as long as you've played it, you don't think there's anything to it. What do you think, Logan?
I think any sport's confusing if you don't play it. I mean, I'm friends online with a bunch of people from Europe, and they look at me as confused as any analogy you can come up with when it comes to American football, right? With the rules. And I think it's just, like I said, it's a social thing. It's an upbringing. It's like any other sport. If you weren't brought up or ever taught the rules of a sport, you wouldn't know what the heck's going on. Same thing with tennis. Even when I was in high school, it's like, all right, I understand it, but why is it that way? And it wasn't until I looked it up I realized why tennis scoring is the way it is. It's because it was made as like a lawn game for people in Europe. So they use their watches to score. That's why it goes 15-30, and then you use 40 instead of 45 because you have to win by 2. So if you both get the 40, you use 45 for when you're the person up 1. And then if you win the game, you tick it forward, so then the hour hand moves. And that's why sets are to 6. So you got to think of it like keeping score with a clock. And then all of a sudden, the scoring system starts to make a lot of sense. But just like any other sport, if you've never played it before and never been taught the rules, of course they're going to be confusing. I don't really think it's a tennis-specific thing. But maybe, at the surface level, when you see weird numbers for the scoring, it can maybe bring a little bit confusion about. But that's nothing that you can't solve pretty much day one with a kid.
Right, and I think there's a lot of European kids where, I mean, they grow up on it. It's like their number one sport.
Yeah,
and that's a definite advantage too. But Eddie, MiffCo tennis community. So it was your experience in college, and that's why you decided to start this organization.
Well, actually, it began at a local tennis club, And we progressed throughout that. I collected money from some of the members, and we got a United States Community Tennis Association membership. And we went through the years with that, and the club decided that they weren't going to participate in the children's programs anymore. So the USTA switched those programs over to me as a provider, and going forth with that, we've just continued the programs that we had for the previous years at the local club. We've been able to integrate into the community, have some programs up at Body and Soul, which were real receptive to us coming to them. They actually even have a tennis court back of their facility. There not many people know about that. And we had got some young people trained. There are a lot of people that have been involved, which I appreciated the article in the newspaper, but there are a lot of names that have come through the years involved with all these programs. And at some point in time in this broadcast, I'd like to give some shout outs to some of those people too. But now I'm wondering, I forget what the question was.
Well, your reasons for starting MiffCo.
Yeah. Well, just as a teacher, I'm a previous retired special education teacher, and so and also elementary, and I taught some computer classes. So especially with my kids, we do Special Olympic skiing, and we'd be involved in tennis. My boys took tennis lessons at the country club when they were little, and they're now like 42 and 43 years old. And I saw what that young program can do. It's a smaller nets, smaller, bigger balls, smaller rackets. Gives the kids a lot of satisfaction, and they don't get frustrated with the sport because tennis is hard. There's little balls.
Yeah,
It's not an easy
you
sport.
read my mind. It's not easy.
Uh-huh. So this whole program with the USTA that they developed, it's based on the national standards for health and phys ed, and it's very well put together. It's developmental in nature. It addresses kids' needs at different ages, how you talk to them. There's the safe play component. You're trained to look for signs of abuse and how to report it, and how to make it safe and for everybody. And it's just a wonderful, well developed program. And it's too bad that and a lot of it, they give you free equipment. They supply you with training. My coaches have taken it's called Coaching Youth Tennis, and it's a program that's online, and it's the first course that actual tennis pros take when they're going for their certification. And the people that I've had online and have taken it, it starts with the youngest players, like about 5 years old, and goes through the progression of, as you move forward, the court gets bigger, the rackets get longer, and until you have a really good program that's healthy and even involves character traits that you focus on, just not tennis. And the USTA really proposes that you not focus just on tennis, that the kids get involved in all kinds of sports, because all the sports cross over the skills into other sports. So they're like, don't put the pressure on your kids to be the greatest tennis player of all times when they're only like 8, 9 years old. Let's do that and have them involved in other things too. And they even integrate those into their lessons and programs. So wonderful, shout out to the USTA. The Net Generation website is for kids 5 to 18 years old. Wonderful resources for coaches, for parents, for marketing, you name it, what you need, it's there. So I've been really proud and pleased to be part of that program in so many kids' lives.
And Logan, any ideas? How do you feel you can reach youngsters and their parents to get them to come out and try tennis?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I can do as the Juniata coach is just make the sport available to other than just the kids that are in high school. Something that we see across. So to summarize, our competitive district, District 6, that both us and Mifflin County are in, there's only 2 classifications in tennis. There's just AA and AAA. AAA
Right.
is basically schools Mifflin County and bigger, and AA is everyone else. In AA, every school, every team is just a bunch of kids that pick up rackets when they get into high school, and then what you can develop into in 4 years is what you are. There's only 5 players this last season in our entire district that were year-round players or started before high school. Only 5. That's it. Right?
Wow.
And they had a monopoly on all the success. 3 of them were the top 3 for Westmont Hilltop, so they won team and doubles. And then our guy Zane Weitzel was a singles representative going to states, and he played Richland's number 1, for that. And together, they're the 5 people that played year round. So there's a direct correlation because it's a muscle memory sport. You play more, you're better. So in a district AA classification that everyone's just picking up a racket in high school, if I just give these kids an opportunity, it's just not an option when you're younger. So, you got baseball, basketball, football, soccer around here in Mifflin County and Juniata, but nothing for tennis. So Eddie running these clinics and setting these up just makes tennis an additional option for kids that do want to give it a shot, because this camp proves that with us having 10 kids there, that when you do make it an option and just say, hey, if you want to play tennis, come play, there are kids that will come out and play it just like they'll come out and play any other sport. So just making it an option for those younger kids is what you need to do. And you'll see great success with that. And like I said, for me as a coach, just making it an option for kids in junior high to practice with us, that's monumental in what their development will be. And I could make analogies for the next 20 minutes on how good that can make a team. But just to put it simply, with doing what I'm doing now, getting kids to start in junior high and just giving them those options to practice year round, like it'll just be a matter of a couple of years before we just start doing what we're doing. When Coach Landis before me had a bunch of kids starting in junior high, and that's just walking through the district every year. That's why Mifflin County is behind right now. It's not because they don't have athletes. It's not because they don't have good tennis players in the area. It's just because they don't play until they're in high school, whereas Altoona, State College, et cetera, all their starting players have been playing since they're in junior high or younger or play year round.
Good point. And the thing I think, if people would realize, parents too, it's a sport you can play and you don't have to be a certain size. Like football, if you want to play it at a high level, they want you to be big.
Yeah.
Tennis, you can have have any body type unless you're like Kenny and I, and then we're gonna die of a heart attack on the court.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The thing I like about tennis, I like all sports, don't get me wrong, but something I like about sports like tennis specifically is, yes, there's athletic parts to it, running around the court and being in good shape to play long matches. That all matters, and it's a big advantage if you have that. But this isn't a sport where you have to be tall to succeed at a high level, or you have to be lean, or you have to be strong. There isn't a certain body type that you have to be to succeed at this sport. It's more about what you make out of the sport as a player. Such a vast majority of it is muscle memory, which is why anyone can succeed if you just hit a bunch of fuzzy yellow balls, which is why I try to emphasize so much, like, hey, these kids, if their goal is to be successful, maybe put up a banner in their gym someday with a district championship, there's a huge opportunity to do it right here in tennis, because there's a direct correlation between the kids that just simply don't just show up in the spring high school 4 years, the kids that do a little bit more than that, and the kids that have monopoly on all of the success. There's big opportunities for the taking to be had in our area, and a lot of our players that do take those opportunities are going on and playing in college. There's a gigantic opportunity opened up in tennis right now because so few people are taking it in Central PA, and just giving the people the opportunity to reap the benefits of their own hard work ethics that these good kids already have is just what I want to do. They already have the work ethic, just got to enable them to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and also I have a suggestion. The kids that are like junior high and can understand, Get a find a video of Borg and McEnroe 1980 Wimbledon final and let them watch it. If you think tennis can't be at a high level, it's the greatest match I think ever in tennis history. And if that doesn't get kids out, I don't know what will.
Yeah, there's just so many great things about tennis. Like you can make it could be a player, it could be a match, it could be a play style. For me, it was just one of those things. It's like practicing other sports kind of stunk, but playing it was fun. Like soccer, I hated practice, but I love soccer games. Same thing for basketball. But tennis is one of those things where it's just like you get out there and you hit a fuzzy yellow ball and something about it's just fun. So we've seen it at this camp. You know, we have some kids that are literally just like, I just wanted something to do. Okay, welcome aboard. I don't care if you want to be a champion or just want something fun to do or anyone in between. Come out and play. And then all of a sudden they hit a couple balls and they're like, wait a second, I like this a lot, coach. You know, it's you just give them the opportunity to be able to do it and kids will love it. Most of my team, believe it or not, doesn't watch any tennis at all. They could only maybe name me the Serena sisters as players, you know, things like that. Two of my players even know who Roger Federer were, and they were on a varsity team last year. Yeah, they just like to play it.
I do think that was my next question. Do you think the major media has ignored it too? Because unless it's one of the four majors. Unless it's one of the four majors, there's really, you have to watch Tennis Channel to get any tennis.
Yeah, and the tennis coverage is honestly awful. The camera angle that they have for those major tournaments is abysmal. Your camera angle should be, so that back wall behind the players, we call that the backstop. Put that camera right at the top of that backstop, like right where the seating starts. When you see it from court level, it completely changes the way you see the game. You can really see the action, the topspin on these shots and how quick they're dropping like a rock into the court. When you see it from court level, you really see how fast a 130-mile-an-hour serve comes at you. You know, it completely changes the game. Most of the tennis I watch, honestly, is on YouTube of college because the camera angle is more at court level and you can really relate to what's actually happening with the ball when they hit it. When the camera angle's sky high like it is for the US Open, all that you kind of see is the ball going back and forth, and that's about it. You can't really see the dynamics that they put on the ball or the dynamics of their swing when the camera's 50 feet up in the air. I don't know who got paid to make that decision and then who got paid to look at that and said, yep, that's good, let's roll with that. But both those people need to be fired.
There you go.
There we go.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about the camera angle, but you're absolutely right. But, you know, you were saying, Logan, about hitting the fuzzy yellow ball. It's fun that you never saw me hit a fuzzy yellow ball. It was
They're white.
They were white.
I said I played. I never said I was good.
It doesn't matter.
No, but
with the kids, I know with the kids, the emphasis is put on fun and movement. That's what we talk about. We do character traits like including people. We talk about sportsmanship, you know, and they're all part of the lessons that the USTA proposes. So, you know, if the kids have fun, they don't have to be expert players when they're that age, and everything is games. Like Logan said, you're having fun on the court, and Logan does that well with the kids. You know, let's play this game. Let's play four squares, you know, with the tennis balls and the rackets. Let's do, you know, running through a maze. Let's do this and that. It's just not go out and hit balls all the time. There's a whole lot of fun. I was running around with those plastic spots on my head with playing tag because that was part of the lesson on balance. You know, you work on the basic skills. It's not only just balls and rackets. It's footwork. It's all kinds of things. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Do you think this is like on a national level too, with tennis development? I want to get your thoughts on that because, you know, yeah, in the women's tennis, we got Jessica Pegula, we got Coco Gauff, Danielle Collins. the men's side, Fritz and Tommy Paul are okay.
Mhm.
But when you consider what we used to have
Uh-huh.
in men's tennis, it is really bad right now.
Absolutely. It's just because the sport just doesn't get as much love at the local level that it needs to. Right now, we only really have one club in the entire country that all of these pros are coming out of, and that's down in Florida. And you kind of see a micro level of that in the state level of tennis right here in Pennsylvania. There's two areas that have three areas that have like plenty of clubs with professional coaches to train people. You got the Hershey Racket Club, which is in District 3. Also, I'm not sure what district it is. I think some of it's District 3, but in Lancaster, you got a couple of them. And then, excuse me, in Altoona, you got a couple of them as well. And if you look at the results in states, you can see those three kids representing District 3 that all get to play at the Hershey Racket Club all the time with professional coaches. And there's a direct correlation between those kids that have played longer and more and who's having the success. It's as simple as that. And yeah, what's going on at the national level is just a bigger version of that. We only really have one great pro academy down there in Florida that all of those players are coming from. It's just a sport that's just not getting as much backing. And I mean, this is kind of getting bigger than tennis, but I think the reason that happens in America is because we have so many sports nationally available that we're just kind of stretched really thin. We're not like other countries that just have, maybe soccer and a basketball team, and that's really big there, then everything else is eh. We got how many sports? We got hockey, baseball, softball, basketball, soccer, tennis, track and field, blah, 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 blah. I can go on and on, right? So it's not like all of our great athletes are going to one or two sports. They're all being stretched so thin. I mean, like I said, these other countries that are great at soccer, they only really play soccer at an international level. Imagine if all of our great wide receivers and all of our great NBA guards all played soccer now, and we have Shaquille O'Neal in the goal. Are we not winning the World Cup every year? I know that's kind of a hyperbole, but you get what I mean. It's like we're just stretching all the available athletes really thin, and some sports are going to lose out because of that. And it's going to ebb and flow. And right now, tennis has been on a downwards part, and it's just a product of us being stretched so thin with all the sports. And like I said, you see that even locally here in Pennsylvania. You got a couple club areas with some good coaches that can bring kids up when they're very little. And there's a direct correlation between the people that play more and are winning. And that's why all the state champions are coming from District 3.
Do you think maybe building...
Go ahead.
Oh, good.
Go ahead, Kenny.
Okay. Do you think establishing, maybe getting a feeder system started in the area would be something that would bring more attention, at least locally, to the tennis?
I think over time it will. And I think over time what we're starting to build right now will just grow. So let me explain how I predict things will go out, right? So if I can continue to get kids started younger than just in high school. I hear someone's phone.
Somebody's...
Eddie, is that your phone? Oh no, but that was a great
Sorry,
tune.
guys.
It's all right.
But yeah, so locally, if I can get kids started more than just in high school, right? That in a sense is the feeder series. So if I can get kids started in junior high, now you go from junior high and you transition with the goal of playing on the high school team. And then if people are seeing people play in junior high, maybe they'll want to start at one of these local camps that someone like Eddie or me are running when they're kids. So over time, it's going to grow. And over time, because it's growing, we're going to have more kids on the high school teams that have played for longer, which is going to make the high school teams better, which is going to make them win more, which is going to bring more attention, which if it brings more attention, it brings more eyes. It might bring more kids to see it, to come out to it. It's like a cycle. It's a cultural cycle. Look at any sport anywhere in the state for a high school, and I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be a direct correlation between the sports that are more popular and the sports programs that have been really successful at those high schools for a very long time, right? It's a cultural thing you build up over time. If we can start building a successful culture of tennis in our area, it's going to put more eyes on it, which is just going to breed more players to want to get into it in the first place. And how we do that is extremely simple. Just giving these kids that want to play the chance to do it. Right now, like I said, it's only been available to pick up a racket when you're in high school in the spring. But if we just make those options bigger, the population of people playing tennis is going to grow, the amount of success they're going to have is going to grow, and it's all just a cycle that's just going to help grow everything about the programs locally.
Awesome. And on a good note, what we've been kind of negative here, but you did, like you said, you had 10 kids come out for your clinic, and that's a good sign. That's a good start.
Yeah, and 9 of them were, Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong, 9 of them were brand new to the game.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
9 of them had nothing to do with the high school team. Only one was a kid that's going to be a junior now, and he's a really young junior too because he was smart enough to skip a year in school. So you got 9 people being introduced to the game, and of those 9, I think it's safe to say at least 7 or 8 of them are definitely going to play when they're old enough for the local teams.
Yeah.
And that's lowballing it. I'm having the same thing here. I started practices this summer after our season ended, and I had 4 brand new players immediately come out. That it does grow, and there are kids that want to do it when the opportunity is presented. It's not something like football where you're going to see like 40 kids in every grade come out, don't get me wrong, but there's definitely going to be enough there to field teams, and there's definitely going to be enough there that together they're going to build great programs because they're going to be playing more than just those 4 years. And like I said, it's a cycle. If they're playing more, we're going to win more. If we win more, it gets more eyes on it. If it gets more eyes on it, it's going to become more popular. And at the end of the day, it's not that I want specifically tennis to be good. I just want all sports to be good because we got these great kids with good work ethics already. I'm not training them to have a work ethic. I'm just allowing them to reap the benefits of their own hard work ethics that they already have. We just got to enable them to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to correct you there, Logan. You said that they were all new to tennis. I'd say about half of them either came through a mega sports camp or had them for lessons. I had a group of girls last summer, which were at the orange ball level. And so there were some of them there. So not all of them are brand new to tennis, but the problem is we don't have a continuation. They go to the mega sports camp, which is a vacation Bible school, which is emphasis on sports. And the kids play the sports and are trained in the sports for different periods of time. That's all they do. And then they break into huddles where they talk about the message of the gospel and things related to their faith. And then they go back into just the sport again, which is wonderful, but it's just 5 days. And where do they go after that? There's no program after that. And what we're trying to do is get a continuation where they go, okay, we start mega sports camp, and now we can jump into lessons or clinics. And the thing is, I can't do it by myself. These kids need opportunities. We need more coaches. We need volunteers. We went into the YMCA and did some things. We've been at Body and Soul. We've been at the Sacred Heart School. We've been at the Lumina Center. But they're all short-term programs, and there's nothing, at the next level. Where do we go from there? And like I said, I can't do it all myself. I'm getting real encouraged by, especially Logan is awesome. He's young and the kids like him, and he teaches them how to twirl the racket and act cool at the same time. And they love those things, and that's what brings them in. So I'm anxious to get a whole lot more of Logan's out there and be involved. And the fact that we had the vice principal from Luke Strasser, and the kids follow him. Oh, that's my vice principal. Wow, I think he brought 3 or 4 kids from the middle school in with him. So, we need more icons. We need more role models. We need, that younger set to come in and get these guys going.
Nice. Fundraising. Is it difficult to get people to, get support for the monetary support for, a MiffCo tennis community and things that you want to do?
We try to keep the lessons very cheap. I mean, $15 for 6 weeks of lessons is nothing. If you take a private lesson, it'd be $30 a lesson at least. So we try to keep it cheap so kids can afford it, for one thing. And we tell them all, if you have a financial problem with that, we'll help you out. I have a lot of equipment that we've gotten through grants and just programs. You know, the USTA is great about that. If you belong to a community tennis association, and I've written different grants, and we've had different programs, and they'll donate equipment to you. So I have basically all the equipment I'd ever need. But it's paying the coaches. You can't expect people to come out and do these kind of things. And for one thing, if you're a tennis pro, you have yearly fees, you know, over $300 just to be part of the PTR. You have to do continuing ed. You have to have the liability coverage, you know, all these things that factor into it. So people have to realize that, yeah, we're keeping them low, but at the same time, hey, if you can afford more, yeah, bring it on.
Right.
There's a hidden cost that you don't see, you know.
Have you ever gone out into like businesses in the private sector for donations?
No, when I was part of the local club, that was we just relied on the USTA more or less for that kind of stuff, and the kids would pay for lessons too, so that came into the factor there. Yeah, I haven't, because it's only been a couple years since we transferred those programs over into my keeping, so to speak. Yeah, and people don't really know what MiffCo tennis is. You know, they're like, okay, who are you? Where'd you come from? And, you know, what are you doing with all this money and kind of thing. There was an opportunity. I'd gotten a grant to start a CTA, which is a community tennis association. And it's expensive. You have to have a board of directors, and you have to have, you know, you have to buy liability and all this kind of stuff, and it's expensive. And so once you get into that, you have those costs every year, whether you're you know, bringing in money or not. And yeah, so I didn't have the support, and I didn't have the interest in parents doing that. They're just now getting into realizing what tennis is all about. Hopefully, in the future, maybe we can develop some things like that. You know.
I'm going to ask you and Logan to put on your imaginary hats for a minute.
Okay.
If you had an unlimited checkbook, what would you be doing right
That's the
now
easiest question ever.
for tennis? What would you be doing right now what would you be doing right now to grow the sport?
I know
that's really easy. That's really easy. And to put it bluntly, it's new courts. Now, for the next couple minutes, it's going to sound like I am crapping all over our school districts, and that's not what I'm trying to do. Our school districts have a lot of employees that are pulled very thin. Like, for example, my athletic director, he's done a great job working with me. He's really enabled me as a coach to do the best job I can do. I can sing his praises, right? Well, he's the athletic director for all the sports, junior high and high school, of both Juniata and East Juniata, while on top of that working in the library and coaching girls basketball. So if that doesn't illustrate how pulled thin people are in my school district, I don't know what does, right? So there's a lot of great people doing great jobs that are pulled very thin in our school district, and what I'm about to say for the next couple minutes might sound like I'm crapping all over a school district, which again, not what I'm trying to do. But to put it bluntly, but effectively, if I said our high school courts are the worst sporting facility that any team on any level in any sport has to play on, that would not be an exaggeration at all. You know, our courts are terrible. Mifflin County's courts were done very poorly. They had a good idea to save money with the base layer of the court, but it created dead spots all over the court. The top layer is the wrong kind of surface. It doesn't play correctly. The ball reacts extremely differently, which is also going to subconsciously affect players' growth and develop bad habits on the court. Our courts are borderline unsafe, and in the current condition are actually unplayable. Our courts are bad enough that if another team does not have two coaches, because we have to use two different locations, because we only have two courts at the high school, then the two at the library, if we play a team that doesn't have two coaches, we can't play them at home. If we're a top seed and we are set to host in districts, we cannot do that with our courts. We are the only team that has that. We are the only team that has the issue, and that was before the courts have gotten even worse over time. This was what I believe 3 or 4 years ago. We were number one seed going to team districts. We could not host. So we were,
Oh
you know,
my
Wow.
God.
it's, and that doesn't even illustrate how bad they are. Like, they are very bad. And I feel bad to say that because, like I said, it's not like our school district can snap their fingers. Here's all the money you need for a brand new sport facility, right? I understand money doesn't grow on trees, right? And I even felt bad because they even had these maintenance guys locally doing maintenance to our courts in the middle of the summer. It's blistering hot out. I went up to clean out the shed to organize some stuff, and I see these guys working hard on these courts, and I felt so bad because, like, I understand that those high school courts are a lost cause. I know they're just doing what they told, but you see hard guys out there working in the heat and knowing that what they're working on is just a lost cause. Your heart goes out to them, right? It just is what it is. So if I had an unlimited checkbook, it's really simple. Both Juniata and Mifflin County, they need new courts. Mifflin County's courts look great, but they play terrible because they were built incorrectly. Juniata's courts, I could go on and on for the issues. First off, there's only 2 courts. Second of all, it's riddled with cracks. The line's covered up in some places. The top layer of the court is way too thin because it's been years and years and years. The fences are too close to the courts. It's the ground below it isn't completely level like it should have been. They kind of tried to cheap out on that when they originally built, blah, 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 right? And you don't need 4 courts like some people have tried to propose. If we just had 3 courts at Juniata that are just decent, they don't got to be a state-of-the-art facility, that would change everything about how our sport is perceived in our area, and it would flip-flop the program on its head, and I'd bet every dollar in the bank on that. Same thing for Mifflin County. If they had a good structure there, that would really grow their program as well.
Well, basically, okay. So Logan is basically saying, Travis Queasy, get off your ass. Right, Logan?
Not at all. He is off his ass. He does a lot of stuff for me. But no, it isn't him. It's a school district. The school district needs to say, like, the precedent has been established in our area, right? The precedent is established in our area that they will pull out the funds to refurbish sporting facilities. The basketball court has been redone. Dietrich Field was redone multiple times. The soccer field at Fermanagh was re-leveled, which was very needed, by the way. I'm not arguing against any of those. I'm all for all of those, right? And like I said, I don't know where that money's coming from. I don't know if it was donations, if it was the school, or a combination. I don't know. But I do need to get into the head of the school district that, hey, if we have established a precedent that we will refurbish these sporting facilities, tennis has got to be the next on the list because it is abysmal.
Yeah, I'm just having fun. Travis has been on our show.
Oh, yeah. You got to love Travis. He's a great guy, and he's a funny guy, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now my
Yeah, Travis, get off your ass.
Hey, I have 2 cents about the money. I would get the USTA more involved in the schools. They have programs where they will fund up to 50% of the cost of new courts. Now, the problem is they come in and they dictate how much space is between the courts, what's the surface like, what's the lighting like, and all that kind of stuff. But there needs to be emphasis on the courts for one thing. Even the courts in at the middle school, the pickleball people have been using them, and that's fine. That's a great sport too. I want to get a plug-in for, it's called Red Ball Adult Tennis. It's played with kids' rackets, smaller nets, smaller court, bigger balls, and it's played like tennis. So the adults learn how to play tennis doing this sport, but it stays at the red ball level for adults. So the people who are playing pickleball might be more receptive to like a red ball tennis, where they're not having to travel as far and have the greater skills and stuff like that. So I would get the USTA more involved, and they're wonderful as far as everything. I would develop a community tennis association, and the Community Tennis Association is backed by the USTA, and the whole purpose of a Community Tennis Association is to get the sport out to the people of the general community, not just a higher echelon. It has a board of directors. It's expensive. You have to liability, and it would pull all the programs, the high school programs, the young youth programs. They pull that all together and kind of coordinate the whole effort. courts within the community. That's where my money would go.
Good, good. We actually have a fairly decent amount of listeners, and some of you out there probably have money. I'm going to assume.
You are reading my mind.
So help out. Help out,
Yeah.
or me and Kenny are going to come to your house and stay and eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. We won't leave.
That'll get expensive.
Yes, it will.
Real quick.
We have a high food budget.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, but if anybody out there can help, you can get a hold of. How can they reach you, Eddie?
MiffCo Tennis at gmail.com. I have a banner over at the high school courts that has my information on it.
Okay.
And that'll be coming down after September. I'm going to take that down for the winter. But yeah, the thing is, with the high school courts being in the middle of the new complex, the sports complex and the fields and stuff, it's a shame that there hasn't been more attention paid to that surface. And I think it's just that people aren't aware of it, other
Right.
than the players. And you had the comments from Izzy Wagner in the paper about her experiences as a player on those courts. And, I said to Joel Diamond when I was talking to him I said, this is how this all started. I said, hey, Joel, I'm going to be doing some donations for the bricks and stuff. I said, can I chew your ear a little bit about MiffCo Tennis? And then I brought up about the courts. He said, well, that never came up in our conversations about this whole complex. He said, I'm surprised. I don't think people are aware that those courts, and I know I've heard different tennis people saying teams don't want to come here to play our high school because the courts are such poor playable. They look very nice, but they're just not playable. So, that's what I would say.
And Logan, how can they reach you?
Best way to reach me is through my email. It is AURANDL. So it's my last name, Arnd, and first initial, and that is at yahoo.com. That is my email. That's the best way to get to me. Yeah, I just second everything Eddie says there. It's a shame that subconsciously tennis is a second thought in both of our school districts. It's in my area, it is so poorly respected that an issue I run into almost daily is parents coming to spectate one sporting event and they will just walk straight through the tennis courts and disrespect me or my players while they're actively hitting. And in one case, they're actually in a rally warming up for a high school match, like with another high school team in uniforms. Yeah, and that's not the only time it's happened. And
God.
And it is so poorly respected that I had to stop a drill because of actively rallying with two of my players, and someone walks across the court. I was insulted by that man just because I said, oh, how about you just don't walk across our courts while we're practicing? And I was getting grilled and cussed at by him. It's just, we're looked at that lowly. It's almost like we're not so it's almost like we don't exist to them. And it's not just their fault. It's that, like I said, that's a cultural thing. And to me, I don't care about me. I don't even care about the fact that you're looking down at one sport compared to another. It's subconsciously, what does that happen to the kids? The kids are now involved in something that they can see other people don't care about. If you're going to tell me that doesn't affect them negatively, then I'm going to tell them they don't understand 101 level of psychology and education with kids.
Right. That dude needs a racket upside his head.
Oh, it's been multiple people. This has happened on multiple occasions. Even since I was coaching, while I played, that was an issue. While Coach Landis coached, that was an issue. It's just continuously been an issue. This wasn't a one-off ordeal by any means.
Wow. Well, hey, Logan, let's light a fire under people. Get a hold of me.
Yeah.
And we'll write an article about these courts.
I love it.
And how shitty they are. And
the one thing I would say is just, we do got to bring light. Like, we do have a great program. We got great kids. We have great teams.
Yeah.
We got to enable them. We got to enable them.
We'll keep it mostly positive, but we gotta like that story there with the people walking across the court I think that's something that's got to be mentioned, and how disrespectful it is to the kids.
Most definitely.
You can tell it affects them too. That's what gets to me. They feel like it doesn't matter what they're doing when they've been working their butts off in the off season all year with me.
Well, it affected me, and you just told it. So
yeah, I didn't cuss them out. I was so proud of my ability to restrain myself. I was actually impressed that I did not cuss them out.
I do not have that self-control like you do.
I didn't think I did at all. Like, to put it politely, growing up, my whole family kind of had sailor mouse. Great people, but sailor mouse. Your typical Juniata County stuff, right? So I'm impressed with my ability to contain myself this year as a coach. So I guess I've turned a new leaf around these kids, for the better.
Yeah, now for the show here, I have to watch myself. But yeah, I make sailors blush. But yeah, I mean, I'm serious. I want to write something on this to bring awareness to the people in the area about the court.
Yeah, it's both areas, both Juniata and Mifflin County. It's a shame. They're bad enough that we drive out of our way to go all the way to the Reedsville club courts to hit with people. Like, I will drive an extra 15 minutes just to play on playable courts. No one plays on the Juniata courts anymore. Even 10 years ago, when they weren't great, we'd still play on them every week. They're still playable. But they're at the point now that I hate to say it because, like I said, I'm not here to crap all over my school district. They've done a lot for me, and my athletic directors really helped me out. But they are, at this current state, physically unplayable. I wouldn't be able to host a match under any regards.
Well, you got my contact info. I have yours. Let's get together and do something.
Yeah, that's my goal over the course of my tenure. I know this isn't something I can magically snap my fingers and, our area can crap money for new courts, but I'm willing to help put in the work if I can at least be guided by my school district in the direction to make steps towards a change. Like I said, I know it's not a one-day fix, but I understand that we can get there.
And there might be a lot of people that don't even know about it, so we could bring awareness to it.
Right.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right, that's cool. Any final words, Logan?
I just really appreciate what you guys are doing. Like, I understand that tennis is more of a niche sport, but just giving it the time of day here and letting people know that it is a sport that there are people around here that care about it. And, I know that there's kids that want to play it. So if you're in the Mifflin County area, get a hold of Eddie and learn about the next upcoming camps. If you're from the Juniata area, you heard my email earlier in this. Again, it's aurandl@yahoo.com. I'm the high school coach, and I'm trying to get kids started when they're at junior high. So if you're in junior high, start practicing with us now and hanging out with the team now, and then play on the team full time when you're in high school. If you want to get out and have some fun and hit fuzzy yellow balls, I want to enable you to be able to have fun, get outside, and play a sport.
Eddie, final words.
Final words is I thank you so much for the exposure and the time to talk to the public and get some word out there about tennis. It's been difficult to get a continuum of tennis, from the time they can start about 5 years old and up through. We need more coaches, we need more parents, we need more volunteers. I'm hoping just with the general put out there and the small gains we've made so far that more and more people will get interested, because it has to come from the ground roots. It has to come up from there. But I'm here to support and encourage anybody. We've had several, even young people, that have taken that coaching youth tennis course. Unfortunately, they get old, they go to college, and they're gone. So we need more of the high school players to be involved. They've been a little hesitant on that. I'm not sure why, but yeah, we need the young people. We really need you out there, guys. So join us, MiffCo Tennis at gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and bringing awareness to what you have to go through just to get a tennis program up and running, and some of the obstacles in your way. And we really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. Thank you very much. And please come back.
Yeah, I want to thank you for the information that you provided today. I'm not really I haven't been really into the tennis genre, and I learned a lot today. And I want
Mhm.
to thank you for it. And if there's anything I could ever do to help, just let us know.
Okay, we're going to have you sign up for adult red ball tennis. Does
You,
anybody?
you don't want to see that. Yeah, you're trying to get people into the sport. If they saw Kenny and I playing, they'd run away.
Hey, there are you can put four four kids courts on one tennis court. So they're small. You don't have to go very far. I mean, you just stand there and hit the ball back for the most part. But it's fun and it's physical. So yeah, come on out.
Well, did you hear that, people? Come on out.
Come on out.
No, it's a little local podcast on the internet, but we do pretty good, don't we, Kenny? We average about 4,000 to 5,000 listeners a week.
Wow. Uh-huh. And
So
where do they go to listen to this? Is it recorded?
yes, you can listen to it then on. We have a Facebook page, the Press Box, and a YouTube channel at the Press Box.
Uh-huh.
I'll be sharing that everywhere.
We were doing it on X, but for some reason now you have to pay to be a premium member to put videos up. So we had to. I'm not paying, so we had to end our Twitter stream, our X stream.
Yeah.
But I thank you for coming on, and please come back.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the exposure. This helps us more than you would know.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Awesome. That is Eddie Snook, founder of MiffCo Tennis Community, and Logan Aurand, the head coach of the Juniata Indians high school tennis team. We learned a lot today. Wow, the court thing, that's really, Kenny, that's really crazy, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's disrespectful that they do something like that.
Oh, that guy would have walked across.
If you want, I have pictures of the courts. I can send them to you I have your number.
Yes, send them to me, please.
Right, so you can see for yourself.
That guy would have walked across my court. Oh, man. Man.
Oh, which one? It's been multiple people.
Nuts. And Kenny, really, Kenny, I'm telling you, if you get a kid that has some slight interest in tennis, play him Borg McEnroe 1980 Wimbledon. I actually got chills watching that match. I was, I think, 13. My God, two guys that it was the best match I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
There's been so many great matches. You're spoiled for choices nowadays. There's been so many great matches in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I think
the gold medal match that just happened the Olympics.
Oh, wasn't that great?
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Especially if you understand the story of Djokovic. That was his last big tournament to win, and coming off of a major injury as well. That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he looked so bad against Alcaraz at Wimbledon.
Yeah,
and then he comes out in the Olympics, and oh my.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a surface that he shouldn't beat him at. Yeah, that's a harder surface to play a guy like that on too. And it was great. I couldn't believe the turnaround in 1 month. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, with that injury and everything. Wow.
Yeah. Sure.
There's great athletes out there. And Swiatek, all you have to do is don't play her on clay, but get her on the grass, and you can win.
Absolutely. Let's just not bring up the Americans in tennis right now. It will make me sad.
Tell me about it.
Someday.
I mean, see, I grew up, Logan. I grew up when our men's tennis, we had Jimmy Connors. We had John McEnroe. Then after that, you had the era where Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, Jim Courier, Michael Chang.
I had Roddick perk a little bit.
Andy Roddick. And now, no offense to Taylor Fritz, Tommy Paul, they're okay, but nothing like we had. Nothing.
Yeah, those guys were elite. It's different than being there and running the show. They were running the show back then.
Right.
Yeah, just hopefully someday we'll see it again, and hopefully someday we'll see a success in other sports as well, like soccer, that we haven't really had it. But it just makes the victories all that much better when you don't have one for a while, right?
But like you were saying, we have the disadvantage when it comes to soccer, where most of the kids in Europe grow up with a ball in their hand.
Yeah,
And
they grow up with the ball. We're not. We're doing.
I mean,
other stuff.
I should say a ball in their foot, but we don't do that here. And
no, I mean we do, not a lot of kids. There's just so many sports available, which I think's great. At the end of the day, if they're getting out, moving, and playing a sport, I don't care if it's a sport I like or not. Great. I hope kids get out and play sports, even if it's not tennis. But yeah, we're stretched. We're stretched thin.
I don't know in soccer if we're ever going to beat the Germanys, the Spains, the Frances, the Italys. I just don't see it. Maybe I hope they prove me wrong, but maybe not. And I want to see an American male. We've had women. I mean, Serena Williams. I like Coco Gauff's game. Jessica Pegula. I really like this Ben Shelton kid.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He's got a chance.
Still young.
Yep, he's got a chance to be something.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he can do it.
With a serve like that, you can beat anyone.
You better believe it. Like if you remember Eddie Roscoe Tanner.
Mm-hmm.
Roscoe couldn't play worse shit on the baseline and his ground strokes, but my God, he had like 130-mile-per-hour serve.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we call them the service bots. They don't really like to play points longer than 2 shots, but boy, will they hold their serve every time. So that's all you got to do in tennis. You can hold your serve. You're never going to lose.
Right. He got to a Wimbledon final. I can't remember the year, but he got to a Wimbledon final against Borg. And, oh, my God. This is one time the serve didn't help. Borg was just so good on the baseline, and Tanner was schooled. I mean, it was... Borg returned his serve. That was it. He didn't have it to rely on. So you see,
interesting folks in tennis. There's interesting people. You see some characters, that's for sure, and creative gameplay styles.
You see, I am a fan.
You surprised me a little bit. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, it is one of those interesting sports where even at the highest level, you don't really see like the meta game involve into you play exactly like this. You see people developing their own styles. You even saw in the last 10 years. Djokovic was an all-arounder. Nadal was a baseliner. Federer had the big serve and could get into the net. Murray was the guy that would just get to everything because he was so fast. You see these unique styles. And I think that's what can make it appealing to high school kids as well. You don't have to play one specific style. Yeah. You can find your own style and succeed. Are you a kid that's really fast and can just get to everything? That'll work. Are you a big guy that can't move well, but you can really hit the ball when you're there? That can work too. You a big server? You like to get into the net and play short points? It can all work. It's just you can do it the way you want to do it. You just got to practice at it.
Djokovic, is he the best ever?
Yeah, he's got to be. He's great on every surface.
Because I was thinking the same thing, but for a while there, I was like, okay, they just keep popping up. I was like, Roger Federer is the best to ever play, and now all of a sudden, here's Djokovic.
Yeah, I love Federer. Federer is my personal favorite. It's just that his play style just isn't as effective on clay. It's just the Djokovic style is just effective everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Eddie,
more of an all-around guy.
Eddie, was there any player that got you into tennis?
When I was in college, we all had to buy a wooden Billie Jean King racket.
There you go.
Or was it Chris Evert? It might have been a Chris Evert racket.
Well, Christy was... Boy, was she good.
Oh, yeah. Just a very sophisticated, stylish person. She's just, spot on.
And I love the different contrast between the two. When they had the rivalry, her and Martina, Chrissy was such a technical, proficient player on the baseline, and here comes all this power from Navratilova. It's like, wow. And then you think, who's going to be more powerful than Navratilova? And here comes Serena Williams.
Oh yeah.
Hit the ball like a cannon.
And they play very good fundamental too. I use the the Williams sisters, sorry, as an example to my players all the time, because they play just very straightforward fundamental. Their strokes are very basic looking, but in a very teachable way. So you can really use them as great examples.
Well, I hope this show helped a bit. As you can see, I do like tennis. I hope it spreads wider here in the area, and people realize what a great game it is.
I feel the same. I'm a little biased, to be honest, but I do feel the same.
All right, before I get you out of here, I should have just for fun. Who do you think's going to win the Open? Men and women. Logan.
You're putting me on the spot. The women's game is so wide open. I'm going to say men. It's going to be Tunr. He's going to come back from the recent controversy.
I like that kid, man. I do.
Yeah, and his game is really good on the hard court. For women, it's so wide open. I got no idea. I'll be honest. I can't even pick one. I have no idea on the women's side. Anyone?
Sabalenka.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll piggyback on Eddie for that one.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to play like the conservative. I agree with you on Tunr, and I think Swiatek's going to do it on the women's side.
Yeah, she might. She's been struggling a little bit.
Yeah, the only surface she really can't play on where she is uncomfortable is grass.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's a great player. I don't know if she'll ever win Wimbledon. Ever.
It seems like someone random wins Wimbledon on the women's side every year. It's such an alien of a tournament, but it makes such great TV at the same time.
Yeah, do you know what I think they should have played up more tennis? The media, the run that Paolini had in the French and Wimbledon.
Absolutely. That was unbelievable.
This was a girl that had really honestly never done anything. And all of a sudden she's in back-to-back Grand Slam finals.
Yeah.
They should have played that up. Yeah,
and
5-3. 5-3. They should have played that up.
Yeah, it's a shame that we live in 2024. It's a very modern day. We're trying to bring up these, unique women and all that, but there's a lot of women we're missing out on. Why are we not hyping up our tennis players more? Why aren't we hyping up our American chess players more? We got all these great women out there. In the era of celebrating them, let's do it. There's some great ones that are getting swept under the rug.
Exactly. I thought the Paolini story was great.
Oh, yeah.
I really did. This little mite. And you got all these girls women that have this power game, and there she was. But hey, once again, thank you for coming on. Come back, give us updates. We'll do anything we can on our end to help promote it.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thanks again so much. I really enjoyed it, guys. This helps us a lot.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is Logan Aurand, Juniata tennis coach, and Edna Snook, founder of MiffCo Tennis Community, and it was great to have them on.
Most definitely.
Appreciate it.
I just eliminated myself. We appreciate we appreciate you guys for coming on. Kenny, I just booted myself out, man.
I'm thinking I don't know that much to talk about tennis, so get back here quick.
Well, we went a lot over, but here we got scores still. We got scores still to do. It was a fun show.
It was.
This was week 0. Mifflin County crushed Central Mountain 42-6. Bellwood Annis. Oh my God, Penn's always going to have problems this year, Kenny. 51-12. In a great matchup, 2 state honorable mention teams. Stevens Grove 14-6 over Juniata. State College crushed Gateway 49-14. Mount Union 28-14 over Tussey Mountain. How about this one? Belfont goes to Martinsburg and beats Central 18-7. PO 30-17 over Huntington. And I separated this game. Bishop Guilfoyle, second in the state in single A, 21-0 shutout of Bald Eagle area, third in the state in double A. And the bad news is we don't know how serious it is. Carson Nagel got hurt in that game.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to Carson on a quick recovery, and hopefully, he'll be back before you know it.
And if he's down, their season's in deep, deep trouble because they hung in there as long as they could with BG, but you lose Gavin Burns, you lose Cale Burns, you lose Cameron Watkins, you lose Eric Clark, you lose Cameron Dubbs. I mean, they lost a ton of people, Bald Eagle area. So,
but I look for them to bounce back.
Well, let's hope. I forgot to write the schedule in, so we're just going to do this by me talking.
Okay. Sounds good.
And we'll make our predictions. Juniata 0-1. They will host Steelton High Spire 1-0. Steel High has been a 3 or 4 time state champion in their school's history, and the brutal beginning of the schedule for the Indians continues. Your prediction, Kenny?
Reminiscent of last year, where their first 4 teams were 19-1 total.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go out with the upset. I think Juniata at home is a tough out, and I'm sure that the game against Sealands Grove really put a bad taste in their mouth. So I look for a resurgent Juniata team, and I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be 21-17.
I can't. I'm sorry. I have to go with Steel High. Too much tradition, too much speed. They're gonna win this game 24-13. All right. Next up, Mount Union 1-0 hosts Berlin Brothers Valley 1-0. Berlin coming in to the Trojan. Mount Union was down in that game with Tussey Mountain and came back and won 28-14. But I'm going to go Berlin. They are a team that is getting recognition by Pennsylvania Football News in the rankings. And I think they'll have too much for Mount Union. My score on that is 28-14 Berlin.
I think I'm going to agree with you. I think it's Berlin's game, even though it's being held at Mount Union. It's going to be a close one. I'm going to say 17-10. All
right. And now we come to the Belfont Red Raiders. 1-0, but they got a toughie. They're going in against state-ranked Chestnut Ridge. 1-0. Belfont is hosting, and they did great on knocking off Central, but I just don't see it against Chestnut Ridge. I'm going to go 35-17.
Well,
you have to take Belfont. You live there. They'll kill you.
I do see a lot of promise in Belfont this year. I saw them last year coming on late. The process is continued, and they continue to impress a lot of people. And I did not pick them last week to win. So
no, who would have? Seriously.
So maybe I can do the Greenie effect. So if I say Chestnut Ridge, maybe Belfont will get the win like last week. So
okay.
I'm going to do the Greenie curse, and I'm going to curse Chestnut Ridge. And
okay.
No score.
What? No score? Okay.
No score.
Then we have Bald Eagle area 0-1 hosting Central Cambria 0-1. Who do you like in that? I think there's a big, before we predict, I think there's a big if. If Nagel plays or if he doesn't.
Mm.
So let's assume he plays. Who do you like?
Mhm. Oh, Bald Eagle, going
Right.
away, 24-7.
I like Bald Eagle area too, 42-14. I think he'll play. He's a tough kid.
Mhm.
And then we have Phillipsburg Osceola hosting the 1-0 Penn Cambria. PO with the win. I have to go with Penn Cambria in this. I'm going to say 27-20 Penn Cambria.
I'm like you, picking Penn Cambria. I think it's going to be a 28-7 contest.
Okay, battle of the big guys. They will meet in the District 6 championship no matter what, because they're the only two in District 6, 6A. Altoona travels to State College, 1-0 State College against 0-1 Altoona. Who do you like?
Needless to say, I'm going to go with State College. Altoona played tough last year, couldn't get it done, and I don't see him getting it done this week either. So,
yeah, I'm gonna say State College 41-20 over Altoona. Finally, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was
My
going to
bad.
say 38-10.
We agree on that one. A blowout. Finally, Mifflin County 1-0 travels to York to take on the Northern York Polar Bears 0-1. And last week I saw Northern York ran for, I don't know, it was passed for like 40 yards. Mifflin County, on the other hand, threw the ball all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, you covered the game. They only ran for 44 yards. That's got to be a concern.
Oh, most definitely.
Backfield by committee. But I think Mifflin County got too much horsepower for Northern York. I am going to say 24-16, Mifflin County.
Watching Mifflin County last week, they didn't have their best game, even though the score looked like it did. There were 2 touchdowns that were called back, so the game could have even been a higher score.
Oh, yeah.
If Mifflin County can contain their penalties and could get their running game going a little bit, I think Mifflin County is going to come and they're going to be 2-0 going into their debut in Mitchell Field. So I'm going to say Mifflin County 35 and Northern 21.
Oh, my God. Logan just sent me pictures of Juniata's court.
That bad.
Courts. Kenny, I got to send them to you then. That is unbelievable. That is pathetic. I don't care. I don't care if it's a minor sport or not. That's pathetic. I'll send them.
It's even amazing then how they've been quite the tennis. They've
been winning. They've been winning.
Yeah. I think 2 or 3 years ago they had 2 doubles team competing each other for the district championship, and 2 Juniata kids, Zane Weitzel, and another for the district title.
Yeah, I know they've had district champions and everything going back to Eck when he played. So I mean, it's crazy, but it's. I'll send you the pictures. It's disgusting. Okay. It really is. So we got any shout outs, buddy?
Yeah, I got shout outs this week.
Before we get out of here, we went over, but it was a fun show, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. It definitely was.
And an educational show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had no idea that the scoring was by the watch.
Do you know what? I've been a fan of tennis for years, and I didn't know that either. I didn't.
Wow, that's crazy.
We have shout outs by Kenny Marner with his music, Feeding the Ducks.
Okay. Here we go.
Kenny, I'm gonna send that to you. That music, and every time, do you ever see the comedy I'm gonna get you, sucker?
Long time ago.
Yeah. When he's walking down the street and they're playing his Heroes theme music.
Uh-huh.
I want you, whenever you're anywhere, to just start playing that. When you get out of the car, when you walk down the street, when you enter a building.
Would
I'm
that mean
sorry.
I'd have to keep my shirt like half buttoned with a big chain?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that in my polyester pants.
Yep. High heeled blue suede shoes.
You got it.
All right. What Rocket? Shout
Okay,
outs.
here we go. Mifflin County quarterback Fletcher Wilson. Shout out.
4 touchdowns.
Yep, went 11 for 15 for 175 yards. The defense, Mifflin County's defense, led by Cyril Green, who had 2 interceptions on a night. One he took back to the house. So congratulations on those 2 and the whole team for the big win against Central Mountain last Friday.
And a good plug for our show. Do you remember Shane was on here last week and told us to watch out for Green?
Mm-hmm.
He was right.
He was dead on. And you know what? I happened to be lucky enough to be close on both those interceptions, and his concentration, his eyes lit up when the ball was in the air because he knew he had it.
Yeah.
One of those his big eyes, and he was he brought that down, and yeah, he was quite the force. So there's going to be some defenses looking at him and trying to make plays around him or on the other side where he's not. So yeah, definitely someone to definitely watch out for.
Next shout out, buddy.
Next one is to Bellefonte quarterback Liam Alderman, who ran for over 100 yards in the upset of Central. Yeah, I keep saying that the foundation has been built, and the Red Raiders are going to be a team to be working with, I think, before it's all said and done.
But we took notice to that kid last year when they put him in halfway through the season. It's like, where the hell? Why didn't they play him right from the beginning?
Exactly. And now it looks like he has a line in front of him. So, and the defense. So this could be one, some amazing stuff coming from Bellefonte this season.
So next, buddy, go for it.
Okay, the Bellefonte girls soccer team. They won a 3-0 win in their debut. Oh, I'm sorry. Bald Eagle volleyball. I'm sorry. That was they went 3-0 last night over Central. It was the first win for rookie head coach Taylor Dietrich. So congratulations. They looked like they were in midseason form.
Yeah, they always are.
Very good team. So another one to watch. Now next is the Juniata volleyball team. They played Bannock Meadow in their opening game, and it was a nail biter from beginning to end. But the Lady Indians survived 23-25, 25-19, 26-24, 24-26, and Juniata won the last one, 19-17. So it doesn't get much closer than that. So that's a good confidence builder for the young Indians team.
Yes.
All right. Next one is the Juniata, or the holy heck, the Mifflin County girls soccer team. They opened their season with a 9-0 victory over James Buchanan yesterday. So, okay, sticking with the Huskies, the volleyball team defeated Hershey in their season opener. They play again tonight. I guess they look pretty impressive in their new coach's debut. So
I was so embarrassed. I did their preview, and Kelly Aston, their head coach, sent me a text saying it was a good preview. She liked it, but I had her name wrong.
Really?
I called her Alston, and it's Aston. I felt like shit. I felt like shit. I hate when I do that. I hate when I do that. It's Aston, and I called her Alston the whole way through it. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, the good thing is you'll get to probably write her name quite a few more times.
Yeah.
Before the season's over. So.
Yes.
And in that game, Riley Hine had 3 aces, 7 kills, 6 digs, and 2 blocks to lead the way. And that concludes my shout outs for today.
Awesome. And you're going to be covering the big game, Steel High Juniata, right?
Yes, sir. I'll be doing it for Hometown Sports and helping out the Sentinel with that.
Awesome.
So,
enjoy the game.
And I'll be heading to the BVI in the morning, Saturday, and then covering a Juniata girls soccer game at 11 o'clock. So I'll be out and about.
Busy. I'm actually doing the BVI too. From my home, yes. BVI. It's a great event.
Yeah. Speaking of cross country, I want to give a shout out to Kylie Cubison. She'll be competing this weekend for
Bowling Green.
Bowling Green, thank you. I talked to her father, and I guess she's cut 35 seconds off her time. So
holy shit!
Keep an eye out for Kylie. She's really been working hard in the off season.
I'd say to cut 35 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, hey, we went really over almost an hour and a half, but it was a good show. Glad you stuck with us. We'll be back next week with another guest every Wednesday without fail, unless something comes up. That's going to wrap us up for tonight. For Kenny Varner, I'm Brian Carson. Thank you for listening to the Press Box. Have a great rest of your week and an even better weekend, and happy Labor Day to everybody coming up.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.